There are days where we have all the time in the world and yet have zero energy levels to study. And yet, there are also times when we have limited time to study but have an overwhelming amount of energy to study. The problem is that as much as we'd like to study when we feel like it, the school calendar may object to that.
Stop!
So, how can you make yourself study when your entire being is screaming no? You can't do something that you don't want to do. A lot of times when you don't feel like studying or working, it's because in your mind you haven't taken it seriously. This could be for a number of reasons. Maybe you're doing it for someone else. Maybe you're doing it to please others and not yourself. And that is why you find it so hard to focus on the task at hand. Sometimes you may think that the work isn't worth it. But just because you don't see results in the short term doesn't mean that the seemingly little effort you're putting into your schoolwork wouldn't accrue into something big in the long run. It all comes down to how you want to see yourself in the future. So instead of wasting time, you can decide to focus and put in the effort that is required for achieving good results. Some people believe that geniuses are born. Some believe that they are made. Whichever side of the argument you're on, it is a universal truth that practicing something over and over by using effective learning techniques makes you better at it. Instead of thinking that you can never grow or never be better at something because somehow you do not have the natural ability to, you can decide to take the pieces of what you know and start to put them together. A growth mindset is infinitely better than a fixed mindset because with a growth mindset, you know that effort and deep work is going to get you to where you want to be. Feeling overwhelmed is a big obstacle to achieving anything. This is especially true when you have a lot of materials to study, projects that are due and with limited time to handle everything. A lot of times, the feeling of having to do everything at once actually makes you not want to work. So instead of tackling the work, you simply do nothing. It's almost as if having lots to do numbs you from doing anything. One of the ways I tackle feeling overwhelmed is by doing it first and foremost mentally. Let me explain. When I see that I have a lot of work to do, I just do nothing or find distractions to pass time. So in order to tackle that, I visualize doing the work in my mind, step by step. I ignore the voice of pressure in my head and just do it. After I've done this, it becomes easier for me to actually get started with the work. Sometimes you spend a lot of time in your head trying to process things and figure them out that you actually forget to do it. In other words, you are so tuned in with how to go about the work that you never seem to quite start it. This could be in the form of watching YouTube videos. Instead of getting to work, you watch or read books on the subject without getting around to doing it. So instead of wasting time, simply start and just do it. Rather than daydreaming all day about what it will feel like to achieve your goals, you can instead focus more on the work at hand. Visualizing success isn't in itself a bad thing. It could be a means to get yourself to take concrete actions toward achieving your goals. But it shouldn't be the center of your attention. It shouldn't be the goal. You should focus instead on reading and using effective study techniques to attain those goals. Focusing on the process will help you stay on track and eventually help you to achieve your goals. Distraction isn't something new for students. We are faced with distractions all the time. The most common one is our phones, and I made a video on how to reduce your usage of social media, which you can check out later. Distractions could be internal or external. You may be distracted by tasks that you have to do later, or you may be thinking of something someone said to you recently, or thinking about a movie you've watched, and so on. You could also be distracted with objects that are in your environment. Either way, you should eliminate those distractions by clearing up your environment or writing your thoughts down so that you are not easily distracted. Sometimes you may not feel like studying, and forcing yourself to do something you're currently not invested in may make it worse. So instead of trying to convince yourself on how important the task is, do something else and study later. This point may seem counterproductive, considering that the former points I mentioned are all directed towards how to make you take a step in the right direction. And yet, I am saying here to simply do nothing. When all else fails, think of trying to take a break for a while before continuing, because chances are you're mentally fatigued or burnt out. But again, during your rest or break period, try not to engage in activities that will make it easy for you to discard your most important tasks, like going on social media. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.